Voice thing too.
Yeah.
Shit. Do I have to wash my mouth?
Huh?
Do I have to watch my language?
Do you? I don't think so. I don't really, yeah, try.
Yeah, try.
Yeah, because I don't really remember how the rules in YouTube go with.
Okay.
I think it's something about like if you use a curse word in the first 30 seconds or something like that, I think that's when they demonetize. But I'm not monetized anyway, so
Right.
it don't even really matter. But I'll still blink it out because
Yeah.
they got kids that be listening.
Yes.
So now our goal here today, tell them T.
So my goal, and I do believe your goal, is to empower and inform the Black community. I would say my portion is like the mental health aspect, making sure people know what it looks like to be healthy or not healthy, and what they need. And I feel like you empower the other part.
My portion is the physical aspect, because I honestly think that your physical affects your mental a lot more than you think.
Absolutely.
So, and speaking of the physical aspect, well, I guess these two things tie into each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like just knowing that we're supposed to be physical because it helps our mental, I think that a lot of times we only get physical when we get to a certain age, especially now in this society, whereas like when you're 18 or 20 and you're like, damn, I'm overweight, let me go and start exercising. But now that stems from childhood. Now that stems from your parents. That came from when your parents didn't put you into physical activities. They didn't put you outside. You're behind the TV screen playing video games all day, and the kind of foods that they have you eating, it doesn't help at all contribute to your well-being. So I do think that it starts at home, and I don't want to say I blame the parents, but I blame the parents for having the kids in them so big, because by them not saying, okay, yo, I'm gonna make sure I watch what my kids eat, right? Because a lot of times this will happen. Because even sometimes I'm training clients, right? And I'm changing, their diet for them, and they're gonna tell me, oh, it's so hard for me. I said, why? They said, because I have snacks in my house for my kids. I'm like, if I'm changing your, why you think that their diet shouldn't change?
Yeah.
Like if you're bettering yourself, why would you let your kids and them still live in that path? Like change everything.
Yeah. In that particular situation, it sounds like someone rejecting the idea of like changing your diet is a lifestyle opposed to just like a moment to lose weight or whatever. But back to childhood and like our parents not putting us maybe in activities and actually making sure we eat nutritionally. The first thing I think about is socioeconomic status. Yeah. So our people who look like us tend to be in poorer situations, unfortunately. And that you live in this country, so you see how much salads cost versus a burger. Yeah. So I can see parents easily, and I see like, even now with the rise of technology, it's easier to put your child in front of a screen. Because some people might even feel bad about that. So they're like, well, at least let me put them in front of an educational program because I do want them to get knowledge. But it is a sign of the times. Like, what are you gonna do if, you could challenge, you could go against the grain and do the extra work to change your lifestyle, but it's extra effort and it's difficult and you may not have the stamina for it.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of times when they do put them in front of the TV, it's to get away from the kids, honestly. I think it's like, oh yeah, annoying as hell. Let me put him here, watch TV, and then the TV ends up raising the kids, because over time they realize like, yo, I don't even really want to deal with this kid. Yeah. Right? And it sounds messed up, but that's the reality of it. Like, you have your own things that you gotta deal with. You just went to work, you come home, you gotta cook, you're tired, right? So I think just the whole system in itself is set up in a way in which like it forces the TV to raise the kids. And the kind of things that they're showing on TV right now, it doesn't really help your kids much. I don't think that it, and I think that they kind of program your kids from young. And the reason why I say that is this: when we were growing up, we were outside. So like these kids outside, they kicking ball.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, we were outside, right?
Yep.
Now it's even harder for these kids now because they're growing up, and the first things that they're encountering is TV. I remember parents asking, yo, like you were only watching TV when you were younger just because of the fact that it was too late to go outside.
Yeah.
Now they choose to watch TV. They're like, yo, you want to go outside? Nah, I'm watching my show.
Yeah.
So they prefer to watch the show. So now all this TV and phones and tablets, their brain is already rewired. And us as adults, it's hard for us to even get off of social media as it is.
Yeah.
Now, imagine these kids where you started them off that way.
Yeah.
Now, and I think that leads them down that depressive path because you're rewiring the brain, they're programming them from early to depend on this thing to, you know, trigger dopamine, keeps you somewhat happy.
Yeah.
And then now when that's taken away from you, it's like your whole world is ripped apart.
Yeah. I would agree that we have an issue with social media and technology and youth. And like, you know, I'll say children because, you know, like you said, like after a long day of work, I mean, there's so, okay. So as a social worker, I see so many layers here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with parents like putting their children in front of a TV because they're tired from working a 9-to-5 job that they absolutely cannot quit because they will lose their housing. They'll lose so many things. You know how like people say all the time, or New Yorkers especially, we're like one paycheck away from being homeless or disabled or both.
Yeah.
And that's very true still. So like, yes, some people may put their child in front of a TV because they're annoyed, and I can get that. On one hand, I'm also like, what does their self-care look like? What does it look like for them to take care of themselves? So I am solution oriented. So I would say a solution, or like what a more ideal aspect would be, is a parent with, and I don't want to talk too much about parents, I don't have no children. I don't want nobody thinking I'm talking about something I don't experience. But I will say, like, as an individual, you want to make sure you have time for yourself and your goals. And for example, most people make that the morning time. Some people wake up at 5:30 in the morning, spend an hour making, you know, praying, meditating, making tea, stretching, and then they wake up their kids at like 7 to get ready for their day. But that's make or break, I would say, in someone's mental health, and including physical well-being. If you are making sure you take care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, you can have more time with your children. You can have more time with people and socializing without the detriment of your mental health or your sanity or your energy. I talked about a lot. I don't know if I even responded to what you were talking about, but yes, that.
So let me ask you this, right?
Yeah.
So you see how you said that, how their self-care look like if they get up in the morning and meditate and all. Don't you think they should, well, if the kids are of an appropriate age, that shouldn't be by yourself. Wake them goddamn kids up at 5 o'clock in the morning too. That's what I think.
Okay.
I think you're supposed to wake them up and have them meditate with you. If you're gonna read for, you know, an hour, however, whatever your morning routine look like, you instill that in them from early, because that can only benefit them. But
I would agree.
and I think a lot of times we always look at our kids, oh yeah, they're young, let them sleep it. No, you put them through the same things that you have to go through, because these things are helping you now, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if you help them from early.
Yeah.
Imagine if you instill these things in them from early, where, you know, they meditate, they get up, they read. Now you created a routine for them, right?
Yeah.
And routine is like super important, because as you, well, I don't know if you probably have, right? You probably have. I've never really dealt with, you know, dealing with people that have depression, but I'm almost certain that they put them on a routine. I think that when you're dealing with depression, they always tell you, try to do this, try to create a routine for yourselves. By doing the same things over and over and over, getting into a pattern, it kind of forces, hold on, let me wait till this freaking ambulance goes.
Look at my watch.
Oh, that's cool. So by having by having a routine, I think it almost forces you to, you don't have time to think about sadness in a sense. You don't have time to think about, you know, the kind of the mundane things that's probably going through your life. You're locked in. And I think that's what really gets you out of that whole thinking about, oh my gosh, I don't have, because when you don't have nothing to do, that's when the devil play. They say the devil finds work for the idle hands to do, and then a lot of times you literally have nothing to do and you're sad and you're like, yo, F my life. That's what people start to think, F my life, because you don't have a goal. And I think by parents doing that from early, you know, establishing like, yo, this is, how do you want, you talk to your kids and them, find out, you know, what are things that they like, how they want their future to be, give them your view on how you want them to live life, so that they can at least have a goal that they're striving towards. Because I think without a goal, then as it says, you're lost. And
I agree. So help me frame this into a way that, like, into a scenario, I guess.
Okay.
Because in a scenario that's reflective of people that we know, or as best we can, right? So first thing I think about is generational curses, as people were saying. But like, as a parent, if you don't have those skills to get up, because you never taught those, how are you going to teach your child? Yes. So let's say you're the one that's breaking the curses, right? You're going to be the person that's not going to be like your ancestors, your parents, your grandparents. You're like, yo, I'm going to instill this routine in my children. And you start them up early, and we're both in a routine. I would agree that it's absolutely beneficial for the brain, for neuroplasticity, for the physical body, for all the things, for joints, for development. And that's it. There's no but to that. I think, I don't know what I'm trying to get at specifically, but I agree. And that's also hard and not always realistic in the environment that we live in.
So this is what I realized about this environment that we live in, especially as black folks. So the other day, I met this guy, right? It's odd because normally I don't meet black people named Ben, right? That sounds like a white name to me, but his name is Ben. Right? So he was talking to me, like, I don't know him from nowhere, right? But he was talking to me and he was telling me that that he asked me, yo, do you think it's possible for us to actually level up in life, become successful without deceiving people, right?
As black people or in general?
Like in general, right? In general. That's what we started off with, because so I told him, by yourself, I think that sometimes you have to hold back the truth a little bit, but I think when you have people around you, then it's a lot easier for you to be very open, and you have help. You're not by yourself, so it's not the struggles that you would have to go through by yourself. You're not going through those struggles like completely, you know, alone. You have assistance, right? So if you're looking at success, most people that are successful, they have a team around them, right? And he said that he said, now I think of it, he was like, I just realized that like a lot of the Popeyes franchise are owned by Indians, right? So he was like, he said, guess what? I said, what? He's like, who you think are the richest people in the world? So I said, I'm not sure, but he's like, okay, before you even go, let me stop you. That's what he told me. He told me it's Asians, right? He says Indians, it's whites, and then it's blacks. But he said that we always look and we think that the white people are at the top. Right. But he was like, nah, he said it's actually the Asians and the Indians. So I was curious, and I was wondering why is it that, you know, the Asians are a lot more successful. So after I left from him, I actually went and I did a little bit of research, and I realized that in the, like, especially Japanese, right? Yeah. Their kids live with them until like 30, 40, right? They're in the household still. So until they're ready to start their family, they will still go and get a good job or do whatever, but they're not leaving the household early, like at 18. Like, they're not kicking them out, but they don't have much privacy, but they're not leaving until they're ready to start a family or whatever it may be. But I realized that in the black community, right, 18, you're out of the house at 18. You're leaving the home.
Yeah.
And it's almost culturally normal, right?
Yeah.
So because of the fact that it's almost culturally normal, now that if you're especially a man, if you're a man living at home with your parents, then it's people gonna look at you like, yo, you're a bum, right? They look at you like, yeah, you're a bum. Not saying that there's not bums out there. There is some bums that living at home with their parents, not working, not doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
But there's ones where they're looking at it like, yo, it's not financially sound for me to get up and leave and don't have my things in order.
Yeah.
But in the Japanese culture, it's so normal, right? It's so normal. Damn, we should have freaking went over there. Now I'm thinking of it. We should have went over there. But let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
We can always do a next one the next time.
Yeah.
But like in the Japanese culture, it is so normal for them to like be at home. So you know that my school friend, he's living at home with his parents. But this other, you know that they live it. So it's not like a pressure on you. It's not a peer pressure on you to say, yo, I gotta leave, right? But in this black community, it's a peer pressure on you to leave, because then now if you want to try to date a girl and then they're like, oh yeah, you have your own place. You're like, nah, I live with my parents. And they're like, nah, F this nigga. Like they don't even want to, they don't even want to date you because of that. They're not asking like, yo, you got money. They're not asking like, yo, what are the things that you believe in? What are your morals? They don't care. They're not looking at all that.
I mean,
so
all the women you talk to,
not
are like
all
that?
the women are like that, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of them that one thing, right, dictates a lot for them, and that pressure now puts a guy in a situation. So, and this is what I realized, they might end up and go and date a guy that, yeah, he's living by himself.
Yeah.
That nigga's struggling his ass off.
Yes.
Whereas there's a guy that he's living with his parents, he has his stuff together, but it's just that he's living with his parents.
Yeah.
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 So they're not together. And I think that's what it is. The culture that we have is of independent culture where everybody's trying to be on their own. Like girls are out there saying they don't need guys. They're trying to be independent and hustling hard, and now they gotta work their ass off, and now at the end of it they crying saying that no, they want a guy.
Child. All right, we done it. This is what I'm gonna say. What I'm hearing is a lack of community.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely agree. Like, I can't speak for Asians. Well, I'll say for black people, we definitely have strayed away from the idea of being community oriented.
Yeah.
We are individualistic, and I am initially inclined to say that it's a tenet of like white supremacy and trying to be like white people.
Yeah.
Some people say that segregation, no, what's the one? Not segregation, the opposite. Integration.
Yeah.
The integration was like the worst thing that happened to black folks because it forced us to depend on white people and like society opposed to depending on each other. And that's a problem.
Yep.
That's a problem.
A very big problem. And I think that it not only that in segregation, because I remember back then when they was segregated, it's like, you see this thing that they do where they say divide and conquer?
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of what segregation did it in the opposite sense, where because we were divided, we had to be united.
Yeah.
Right? So you were kind of stuck to your own people. So you had to look out for your own people. So you would not see a brother over there, something's happening bad to him, and you're not going to look out for him. But because of the fact that now society is integrated, right? Now there's some things that you might be like, oh, I don't like him because maybe he's a Christian. Like there's things now that are different than just your culture, black and white or whatever. Now there's other forces of division that they implement into the system. So we're integrated, but we're more separated than ever, because now they separate you by religion, they separate you by whatever gender, all these other elements they create these constructs they use to separate you. Whereas we're supposed to still be looking and saying, yo, that's my brother, that's my sister, we're trying to build up our community.
Yeah.
But by integrating, then it kind of makes you, yeah.
I'm thinking about something you said with I think your friend Ben.
Yeah.
Someone asked you, can we have like success without being deceitful?
Yeah.
And it reminds me of conversations that we're having around capitalism and billionaires. And sometimes within the Black community, we find solution in Black capitalism, and that's not the solution either. We like to think, oh, when we get our money right, I'm gonna give back to the people.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a type of corruption that comes with power and money, and it's like undeniable, unstoppable, and it's just natural of human behavior.
Uh-huh.
And that, what am I saying here? I'm thinking about that when we're talking about being segregated, and I can see billionaires and like Black capitalism playing a role in that. But also, I was thinking about the fact of your friend saying like, can we have success without deceit? And I'm not sure we can. 'Cause I think when you look at billionaires too, every billionaire has become that rich at the expense of someone else. If you are, thinking about the wealth gap, think about the gap between $1 million and $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
We have people on the internet now more like realizing that from $1 million to $1 billion is so vast. And you think about how few people have billions of dollars, and people literally don't have homes, don't have a lot of things. Freaking bumpers on their cars. Listen, people don't have the things they need, but we got billionaires with plethoras of money. So I'm always like, what's the solution? There is no solution. I mean, I don't know the solution.
Okay, so I see how you're looking at it, right? But I don't look at it in that light, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so example that you said that there's billionaires become that way because at the expense of someone else. So I was talking to someone the other day, and they were telling me about a course that they bought from someone, right?
A coach?
Course. Yeah, that they were buying for someone, and they asked them, is it negotiable, right?
The price,
right? So the guy said, yeah, it's negotiable. So he negotiated down, right? And he got it at a cheaper price.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the argument that, this is someone that right? This is someone that and I asked them like, was the course actually, worth it? Did you think the course was actually worth it?
Mm-hmm.
They were like, yeah, I think the course was worth it. So I said that if you thought the course was worth the original price, why would you bargain it down? He's like, you're supposed to always bargain.
Ooh.
And I said, I can see that in a sense of how you're looking at it, where billionaires, they become successful at the expense of someone else, right? But how I look at it is, in this society, me and you, both of us we're a team, right?
Yeah.
So if you have something that I want, I'm gonna pay the price because I know that I see the value in it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pay the value that I'm gonna pay for it based off of what you said at the price is. If you say it's $100, I'm gonna pay you the $100. In this situation here, now both of us left winning. I didn't leave here and coming out saying that, oh yeah, I won, she lost.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to negotiate with your own people in things of that nature, where that is actually worth it,
mm-hmm.
then I think that's where that comes in, where you said, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this at the expense of someone else. I think once you kind of come together and
mm-hmm.
have a general understanding that like, we are going to try to build up each other, because
mm-hmm.
whatever it is that you're giving me
mm-hmm.
is valuable enough for me to want to pay that. That's why I even went out to you in the first place, because it's valuable enough.
Right.
So if it has that much value, right,
well, you could have asked for that person's insight because you knew they were your friend. They probably give you a discount. You knew you could bargain easily.
Yeah.
But that's if you are an individualistic person.
Yeah, and how I always look at that too is like, you don't bargain in Starbucks. You go there and you pay whatever price that coffee is, and that's not your people.
Yeah.
They're not your people. But you just go and you say, hey, that's the price, I'm paying it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's your own people, you're bargaining.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what it is. Like, that's the only how we're gonna build up each other. Because then that way I would never leave here being bitter at you. right?
For
And I
sure.
think that's what creates that divide. Whereas, like sometimes, like for instance, if let's say that you say, yo, Lars, can you train me? And I told you, okay, my price is 800 a month, right? And then now, let's say that, maybe let's say times are tough for me, right? And you know that, so you bargain me down and it's like, okay, 100 a month, right?
Damn.
Now I'll train you because I need the money, right?
Right.
But then I'm gonna be bitter towards you because I'm like, yeah, after this, F her. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Versus if I was to train you and you pay me the 800, you're gonna be happy, I'm gonna be happy, and then we still have a strong relationship after the end of it. Versus now I know that you lowball me and now I gotta watch you every day trying to act like I ain't hate your guts. Like, you get what I'm saying?
And now you're gonna half-ass the workouts too. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
So I think that's a big part in it too. Like,
Yeah.
we just have to, give equal value, equal exchange of value, instead of trying to get over on our own people. Like, don't
I
get
agree.
over on your own people. Like, if you can get to Starbucks and
Listen,
yeah, but not your own people.
I would agree. Absolutely agree. Pay people what they're worth, especially if you see your friends and they charging so-and-so, like, pay what they're worth.
Yeah.
And if you are in a compromising position where you don't have it, right, but you're in need. So let's say the roles are semi-reverse. I'm in need. I need your services. You know I need your services. But you like, I'm going to charge her $800 a month. This is what I charge. And, she's struggling. Then I'm trying to reverse it the same way. I'm trying to reverse it so it's applicable the same way where you try to like take advantage of me. Anyway, that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I see where you're coming from, but okay, so in an event like that, right?
Yeah.
So this is where I guess terms can come into play, because like we can't always look at things like black and white, because it's never really black and white. So I can't say, okay, you don't have the money to pay me, right?
Yes.
You don't have the money to pay me right now. So that means I can't help you. That doesn't necessarily mean that way. Then there's other things of value that you can offer to me for that same service. So where I might say, okay, yo, I know for a fact that after these 6 months, right, that you're gonna, get to this result, right? If you end up not training with me for the full amount of time, then you're gonna owe me $800 for every one of those 6 months, right? Or what's gonna happen is that there's other things that I might need, right? Maybe I need you to make content for me, or like we just document your progress journey so that I can get more clients in the future. Or maybe you have skills in marketing that you can, there's other things that you can have of value,
Right.
to help me say, okay, yeah, she's helping me with marketing, that's worth more than $800 a month. So, and I think that goes into us as, a community having to develop your own skills that you can actually be of use to the people around you. You can't just be there and don't have no skills. You have to develop some sort of skill that you can actually be of use to people around you. Because if you really think about it, I was telling one of my friends the other day that, like, every friend that you have is valuable.
Yeah.
So I said, because he was asking me something about using people, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying, yeah, we all use people.
Yeah.
But we don't look at it that way because of the fact that we're not consciously thinking about it.
Right.
But subconsciously, you know that how, like, yo, I know that how, like, this person, there's something I'm doing in the future that I know that they got the skill that I'm probably gonna need. Maybe not now, I don't need them now, but I have them in my corner because I know sometime in the future I'm probably gonna need them. So there's everybody that we have in our circle, we use them. Either that, you're maybe just using them to talk to because they're funny, you like to laugh, but everybody that you have in your circle, you're using them. So if you know that, okay, if you understand that concept, right, why not make yourself as valuable as possible so that other people want you in their circle, and then you can piggyback off of their strengths, and that way you're in a community that has no weaknesses. Because everywhere that I have a lack, that's where you excel in. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm part of a community here, African Rites of Passage program called Duan Zinga. That's exactly that's one of the things that we definitely build upon. And we believe that everyone has a gift and you have skills.
Yeah.
So we work on people identifying their gifts. And your gift is not the same as your skill all the time or where your career is. And it may take you time to realize your gift. But when you find what your gift is, and gifts, because it could be gifts, you find what your gifts are and you walk in those gifts. That's how you give back to your people in a community format. And it doesn't have to be monetary, as you're saying, like, you know, I give back to you in a way that's, you know, however you need. And yeah, I'm basically saying what you're saying and I agree with it.
Yeah.
But and I think I feel like I'm gonna get way deep. So so in Duan Zinga, we work on bringing our people, Black people, back to their roots of, you know, West African traditions, things like that. But it's very hard because you're in America and you're also in New York City, where everyone is moving so quickly and everyone is individualistic. I think every time we have these conversations about people and society, we have to think about the environment. Because I think if we're not talking about an individual, I said this to you recently, if we're not talking about an individual's mental health in their environment and then their behavior upon their environment, we're missing something. Like, I think until we talk about that, everything else is going to be a byproduct of whatever that is.
Okay, so elaborate. When you said it, so the individual in the environment, the fact that we're in America, right? So, because, if you think about it, America is just people, right? If you really want to think about it, America is just people.
Wait. I mean, okay.
So
well, humans are humans. Humans are just people.
Okay, yeah.
America is a country. You can't just call it people.
So, yes, but when you say the environment, right?
Yes.
What's affecting you in the environment? What's affecting you?
Right now, there's cars and trucks passing by, and it's hard for me to hear you. So I have to work a little bit harder to hear exactly what you're saying, including looking right at your face and watching your mouth move, so I can make sure I'm internalizing what you're saying. That's a perfect example.
Okay. Who's fetching, driving the cars? People, right? So America is just people, still, right? So I'm trying to see where you're coming from. Where, in terms of like, by you just focusing on the individual, because I think you can focus on the individual without focusing on the environment. Because if you change on the individual level, if each individual changes, right, then it affects the entire environment. But you can't change the entire environment without changing the individual.
Yes, I think we're talking about similar things, but we're on different pages.
Okay, so talk to me.
All right. So think about a raw example. This is what I just said.
Yeah.
So we're in the environment of New York City. We're doing something that's important to you, important to me. However, we're working around the fact that we are in this area where there's cars passing by. We have no control over that, but we do have control over where we can go, right?
Yeah.
So next time we can go somewhere quieter. We're adapting to the environment.
Yeah.
In the bigger sense, the bigger scale, I was born and raised in New York City. When I find myself in another state, my body, my mind, my spirit is at ease in a way that I can't experience in New York City. Perfect example of an individual in an environment, how that impacts their mental health, human behavior, and how that impacts how they give out to the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm trying to make, and that's very specific. I think what the conflict I run into with these conversations is because I can speak vastly on the individual level, like we're talking about, because I'm a therapist, like this is what I do. Yeah. But when we start to make it macro and think about society, you can't apply the same individual concepts as neatly, but they're still there. And that's hard to contend with. So like, you're like, America is just people. Nigga, the president got shot at. Look at, bro, look at America's political climate. America is unique, and this shit show over debate or whatever. So yes, America is just people, but like you have to take into account the culture of the people. That's what I'm trying to get at. And I think when you say America is just people, you flatten it and take away the culture, and that is what impacts people in the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have, and America doesn't have one. Okay, it has a general, not really general culture, but it doesn't really have one culture. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't have one culture. It's a mixture of different groups of people, right? A mixture of different groups of people.
Yes.
So because of that, I think that that issue might almost always arise, right?
The issue of what specifically?
We're not gonna always be on the same page where like so like you're saying that you go to a different state and you have peace, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody has to almost deal with, regardless of what culture that you are in America, you almost have to deal with the same environmental issues, right? The same kind of stress, right? Unless you kind of have a way to get away from it. But I do think that by being in the stress, right? You're dealing with the stress. I think that makes you appreciate the other things more. So now, as an individual dealing with the stress, and then you say, hey, Tiana, I found a way that we can be a little bit more peaceful, right? Let's go over here, right? I take you over here. Now you come and you say, hey, I found a way that we can be a little bit more peaceful. And now it always boils back down to community, right?
Yeah.
That's how it always boils back down to. So even though you can't change the environment per se,
Yeah.
right? You can start by changing the individual, and then you change another individual until you bring it large enough where it affects a wide number of people. So I think that that's the only how, God damn, I think that's the only how we can get to there. I think that we still have to focus on the individual level first before we can actually affect the environment, or the community.
And I have that exact perspective when it comes to Black people and therapy and mental health. I work with people one-on-one, and I do believe the way I give back is do the work with this one individual. And when they walk away a healthier person, a confident person, a being who takes control over their life and who feels good about themselves, they then exude that same energy to other people. And they feel confident enough to know themselves, to find their gifts, to find their talents, and find their work in that. And then they can give back in that way too. But that started from one person in a room with another person, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, of course other things influence it, but like that's how I think about giving back to my people. Yeah.
And I think about giving back to my people by making sure that they're as fit as they possibly can
What's
be.
fit though?
Fit?
What's fit? Yes.
Okay, so how I look at it is, when I say fit is your definition of fit. So if you have a body goal, whatever you want your goal to be, I want to be able to maybe just do active things, because there's some people where their goal is not to lose weight or look a kind of way. They just want to be able to like either do handstands, pull-ups, whatever. So when I say fit, it's still your definition of fit, but I strongly believe that by you actually getting fit and aesthetically, whereas you actually look the part, I think that helps with your confidence a lot, because I think a lot of people put their confidence based off of like how they appear externally to others. I think a lot of people put their confidence in that.
I agree, and I don't think it's great.
It's not great, but I think that's the reality of it. But and the thing about that is that it's not something that can't be changed. You know what I'm saying? Like yes, there are a few scenarios where they have people that have some kind of illness where, you know, they can't lose weight or can't gain, whatever it may be.
Hormonal issues?
Yeah, maybe a hormonal issues or like whatever. What's that shit called?
PCOS?
Yeah. But even with that, there's still, you know, changing your diet and all that stuff kind of help a bit, and even like fibroids, stuff like that I was talking about. So yeah, like those kind of things. Like, but if you're not dealing with none of those things there, then I don't see why you're not in, the best shape that you can possibly be in, because I think that helps you mentally.
Yeah.
And it helps you physically in terms of the world treats you different.
Yeah.
As well. So if you go ahead.
When you said that, I thought of the world treats you different, but when you're confident in yourself, you don't give a fuck.
You don't.
So like, I think about, I'm always going to challenge like the norm of people's thoughts, but like there are people who are larger in size who are fit.
Yeah.
People love to talk about Lizzo all the time, and she could be fit for who she is, because the fact that she's on stage, she's singing, her breath work is crazy, she does flute and she's twerking. A lot of people who go to the gym right now probably couldn't do what she does, and that's fine. But I think some people, when they say fit, they can, and when we talk about the aesthetics mainly, people can get very narrow-minded not because of anything, but one of my favorite people, her thoughts are running is a life skill, and that's something I really enjoy, because gym bros, sometimes they can't run for shit. They ain't got no stamina. They too stiff. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when it comes to aesthetics. I think aesthetics, yes, makes a difference. But I also think that when you have inner strength, the aesthetics is so secondary. And that's something that I don't know if there's room for necessarily in this space or conversation. But like, yeah, people's fit. I like what you said. Being fit is definitely based on what you believe, how your perspective, what you desire of yourself.
Yeah.
The best of yourself at that. And it might even look different in different seasons. That's something too.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
It can.
Because our bodies change over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, just even getting onto the path of it. Like, even sometimes, like, it don't come right away.
Yeah.
Because even when you're just starting out, you're either gonna be like super skinny or super fat, right? And you're trying to get to, that's funny. Now I just thought about it. I just created a scenario in my head. So either super skinny or super fat, and you're trying to get to the middle, right? You're trying to get like fit.
Yeah.
So I think that just getting there, whichever side that you're coming from, I think getting there, it does a lot for you, because on that journey, it's not only that, you're gonna look better, but you're gonna have, more discipline.
Yep.
More confidence.
Yep.
So, as you said that, if your inner is, strong, then that's just secondary, which is secondary. But I think that it always starts with the physical, because the easiest thing to do is to start moving.
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest thing to do when you're struggling with, mental issues. The easiest thing to do is just get up and just start moving. And from you start moving, and after just over saying, yo, you know what, I don't want to do this, but I'm just going to try to do this every day. Like over a course of couple of weeks, couple of months, you start to feel a lot better. You start to realize, yo, I can do something that I couldn't do before, right? And just those small wins creates more trust in yourself.
Yes.
And now you start to love yourself a little bit more. And this, as you said, that the physical look of it is just is secondary, is a byproduct of you loving yourself so much more. So now you're gonna be like, yo, I won't ever let myself get to that point where I was again. So it's only up from there.
Yeah. We're in agreement there.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So what does it look like for our people to be healthier, both mentally and physically, with consideration of the environment? And when I say that, I don't mean make excuses. I mean make accommodations.
When you say accommodations, like
someone who's disabled, right? Like, I know a lot of women who gave birth and like when it comes to ab work, they want to do different things to kind of like strengthen the core, but then also I forgot the name of the disorder, but when your abs,
diastasis recti or whatever, I can never say it right, but
that.
yeah,
So you make accommodations for them to do other ab workouts to strengthen the abs, but it may not be sit-ups, something that's so direct that it's not recommended.
Yeah.
Accommodations, considerations.
So that goes down to you knowing your problems. So it's inner work. That's inner work.
Yes.
So I think that's something that everybody has to do.
Absolutely.
Inner work. So I think at some points in your life, like you have to get to a point where you're completely and brutally honest with yourself, right? And you have to say even things that like no one is in the room with you. You go to a room by yourself and you look inside your mirror and you know the issues that you have with yourself. Now you can look in the mirror and be like, okay, let's say that you feel like people don't respect me, right? Let's say I say, yo, people don't respect me. Why don't they respect me? What are some elements of disrespect that I experience? Why I think that people don't respect me? And based off of that, you just create a little list for yourself, and you're like, okay, the reason why somebody called me ugly, right? Is that something I can change? No, right? You can't change that. So what's the next thing on the list, right? You just go down the list, and the things that you can actually change, you change them. The things that are outside of your control, they are what they are. You have to accept them. You have to learn to accept them. But the fact that you get to change all these other things that make you feel like people are disrespecting you, the fact that you can change all these things, then it helps you a lot. Because I heard somebody say this once, that your haters, right? Your haters are like, they point out your flaws for you without you even paying them. They're like coaches. Like they come and they tell you the things about yourself that, you know, that it hurts you, but it makes you stronger once you fix them. So they come and point out your inadequacies. And by you knowing what they are now, then all you gotta do is work on them.
I want to speak to the process. I think, this is my assessment, I think sometimes when you say things like, all you gotta do is do this, it may sound easy. So can you give me an example of what does the process look like for you in a season when you're in struggle, when you have to fight a little bit harder to go to the gym, when you have to fight a little bit harder to realize, okay, maybe what I've been doing before is not what I need to do now. And I say that actually to elaborate on that because I don't want people to feel discouraged when they hear things like, oh, all you gotta do is fix it. So what does that look like? Okay,
so how that looks like for me, right, is not everything that you can do on your own, right? Like there's times when you need an external source to push you, right? Like I remember this guy was telling me that he doesn't allow his son can't close his bedroom door, right? He said because yes, you can protect yourself from other people, yes, you can save yourself from yourself, but who's gonna save you from you, right? And that's what it comes down to. You need people that are around you that are gonna, you know, be there to uplift you. Because even sometimes, like, you might not want to do something, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever been to like maybe a seminar or a concert or whatever, right? And they made a stupid joke. Everybody's clapping and laughing, right? And you're like, what the frick? That wasn't even funny. But you clapping and laughing too, right? So it's like just being around people like that, it kind of pushes you. So something that, so it's not that easy to be around people, right? So let me look at it in the sense of us being in America where everybody's so far from each other, right? So us in America, everybody's so far from each other. There's like, you might have like maybe a group chat, right? And another thing that I like to do is find something that's like dear to you, which in this society, a capitalistic society, it's money, right? So if you said, okay, yo, I know I don't want to go to the gym, but I'm supposed to go to the gym, right? If you can be honest with yourself, because it all comes down to being honest with yourself, and that's something that nobody else but you can fix, right? How honest you are with yourself. So if you can be honest with yourself, you're gonna say, okay, I don't want to go to the gym, but I know I need to go to the gym. It's hard for me. I'm struggling right now. Like my mental capacity is not there, but I know if I go, I'll feel better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, you make a deal with one of your friends. You say, hey, Tiana, I need to go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Can you make sure you hit me up on those days and find out if I went? And this is something that I realized recently, that as we get older, we don't have consequences for our actions, right? When we were younger, if your mom said go brush your teeth and you didn't brush your teeth, you get grounded or get punished somehow, right? But when you get older, no one is holding you accountable for it.
Accountability.
Yes.
That's my favorite word.
So now that you're supposed to go to the gym 3 times a week, right? It's not just gonna be, hey, did you go to the gym? Now it's gonna be, hey, did you go to the gym? Oh, let's make a deal. If you don't go to the gym, every time you don't go, you pay me $50, right? That's your punishment. So you're actually, you're paying for not doing what you gotta do. Literally, that's a consequence. So you pay for not doing what you're supposed to do. So like in a capitalistic society where money is a high value for people, that's a way to force you to doing the things that you're supposed to do. And over time, it's just gonna almost become second nature because you're just doing it so much, it becomes routine. So it's like Monday can't come, and then when 5 o'clock come and you're like, damn, like your body's almost going to the gym without you even thinking. Just like when something you're driving and you're like, damn, I wasn't supposed to go this way, but I'm going to work. Like because it's so innate now.
And dare I say, you might actually look forward to it.
Yeah. So I think that's a process that we have to actually go through to get to the things that we want.
Yeah.
Like just knowing that there are consequences for our actions. As long as you know that the consequences of your actions, I think that it takes you a long way, because now we don't have consequences for a lot of things. Like for instance, the reason why, okay, let's say you're on a date, right? You're on a date and you tell a guy no, right?
You tell him no.
Yeah, you tell him no. He said that, let's go back to my house. And you said no. You know why no works?
Because you get denied what you want.
Not only that you get denied, but because of the fact that that no is backed by the law.
Oh my God, yeah.
There's consequences for your actions. Like if you decide I'm gonna violate that no, then you know that there's consequences for your actions.
Yeah.
That no was backed by a law.
Yes.
So and I'm trying.
If you get caught.
Yeah, if you get caught. But yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. Like everything that we stick to is always backed by, because if I do this or don't do this, there's a consequence for the action. So by you living your life, by you living your own life just by yourself, a lot of times you don't give yourself a consequence for not doing things.
Correct.
So without that element in there, there's a lot of times that you're not gonna do what you need to do or be where you need to be, because you know that how you're gonna give yourself grace. You're gonna be easy on yourself. You're not gonna punish yourself. So sometimes if you know that that's the kind of person that you are, then you have to surround yourself with people that will do that for you. Yeah.
I'm hearing 2 things: community and accountability.
Yep.
Which I absolutely believe in. And further, like when you're in community with people, you know there's love at that. There's love at the root of it. So when they're holding you accountable, you're not angry about it.
Yeah.
Or you're not, or you can be getting angry, but they're gonna be like, yo, you told me this though.
Yeah.
So.
And that's another thing too. That's another thing. So it's if they tell you, because sometimes and I realized I do this a lot, right? Which I step back from, because this is my favorite quote, right? If I accept you as you are, I make you worse. But if I treat you as though you're capable of what I see you becoming, I help you become that. So because of that, I always try to push them to be better, right? But I realized that by me doing that, all that's doing is frustrating.
You were talking about, I said community and accountability are important. If you are in the community and there's love at the center and people hold you accountable, you won't get upset. But then you were saying...
annoyed. Yeah.
Yes.
So what I was saying was that the battery died, by the way, just in case I edit that part in. So what I was saying is that, like, when you hold your friends, like sometimes you try to hold your friends accountable, but they never ask for it, then it becomes frustrating to you because they're not doing what you think they're supposed to do.
Yep.
And it's annoying to them because it's like, yo, why the hell this dude stressing me out like this?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that accountability works when it's asked for.
If it's agreed upon.
Yeah, agreed upon.
Yep.
Yeah. But if you just come and say, yo, I know that this person should be doing this, because a lot of times we do that. We look at people and we see the potential in them.
Yeah.
And we want better for them.
Yeah.
So we kind of push them towards that direction. But they might not be ready at that point. That's what
They ain't
it
asked
boils
for
down
all
to.
that.
Yeah.
And that's your perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
So sometimes you have to live and let live.
So back to community. So part of my community, like, I think it's important too that you have agreed upon standards. So speaking of, like, you know, Bread Bob, you may have a standard of like being fit, and
Yeah.
fit is relative to what you need and where you are.
Yeah.
So that's a standard that we're all agreed upon a part of Bread Bob's community, Bread Bob's army. So when I hold you accountable, there shouldn't be no backlash, because
That's
this is
true.
what we have agreed upon standard, you know. And if there is backlash, I can still hold you accountable lovingly.
Yeah.
I can be like, yo, bro, I mean, you mad? I'm gonna give you a day or two, or a week. Next week I'm like, so what's up? Let's go with them goals, you know,
Yeah.
and we go from there.
Yeah. That's key, to actually have a standard of what, like, things are fit, like what is fit, what
Yeah.
is healthy, what is, yeah. By you having those standards, I think that goes a long way, because a lot of times everybody has their own, especially nowadays days, everybody have their own definition for stuff.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
by you agreeing upon I guess unified standard, then I think that's the only how we can actually move forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a valid point.
Yeah. You want to go back to pressing and vulnerability?
So how do I press my vulnerability? Like, cause I don't know how, what is that anyway?
I may or may not have leapt a little bit when I compared what you were saying, like creating examples when you explain something, and like pressing vulnerability. Some of it might be my own assessment and my own perspective. So I will say, earlier I asked you, what does it look like for you to be in process and struggle, but you still made it an example that was general.
Got you. Okay, so what does it look like for me to struggle, right?
Yep, to struggle in the process.
So the struggle for me, so you actually want me to give a struggle that I have, because struggle for me is like when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So if I'm being like lazy, right? That's something that I consider me struggling. So if I'm being lazy, I think that's it. As long as, if I'm not being lazy, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. If I'm just sitting around, like being distracted by TV or whatever, like which is crazy, right? Because like I watch TV not often, right?
Okay.
Not very often at all. The only time I watch TV is when power comes on, right?
Oh my God.
That's the only time. And it's crazy because I actually feel like bad, right? When I do it. When I watch power, I'm like, yo, I could really be doing something else with this time. Like that's an hour out of my time that I could have been, you know, doing something with. And I know it's kind of not healthy to look at it that way, because, you know, sometimes you need some time to relax, right? But I don't know if it's healthy. Let me tell you why it's healthy. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you why it's healthy.
Wait, pause. So you're saying struggle for you is laziness?
Yeah, it's laziness. Like sometimes when, yes. When
and laziness is
sitting
not
down
doing,
watching, you're not, yeah. Like
sitting down, not doing
what
what
I'm
you're supposed to be
do.
doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's laziness for me.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, then, you know, I feel good. So like being distracted, like stuff like that, like sitting down scrolling for hours, that's laziness, right?
Okay.
Sitting down watching TV, that's laziness for me. All those things are laziness for me. So, and I just thought about it when I said it too, because I was saying that maybe you should give yourself some grace or time to relax. But the fact that how I think that way, that I shouldn't be doing that, that means that I actually know I'm capable of not doing that.
Okay.
So I think that I shouldn't be giving myself grace. I was just trying to cope just a while ago. Now I'm thinking of it, that was just me trying to cope. But I actually shouldn't be doing that because I know that I'm capable of more than that. I know I'm capable of actually just doing what I'm supposed to do without actually having these distractions. There's no need for this. There's no need for that. So I know that it could be a situation where maybe when I go on vacation, I could have sit down and I could binge watch all this because as they say, you reap the fruits of your labor. So after I did all my hard work, I can go on vacation, I can sit down and watch Power for 2 days straight and feel good because I did everything I was supposed to do during the time that I was supposed to do it.
And when you say that, I hear a designated time for relaxation. I was going to ask you that, like, so if laziness is just sitting down not doing what you're supposed to be doing, but you also said you struggle, like, you know, there's a balance of like having rest.
Yeah.
So what does rest look like? I was going to ask you then. So it looks like rest is a designated time for you to do things you maybe didn't do before because you had things to do.
Yeah.
So now you're doing it in a relaxing way, concentrated, I guess.
Yeah.
What was I getting ready to ask? Fuck.
You're still talking about the vulnerability thing? Or
No. I feel like you mentioning this is a bit of a press for vulnerability.
Okay.
Because and this is my personal assessment, I feel, and it could be because of like social media, like I like to see when people talk about the struggle because that's going to get people, that's the make or break moment. You know what I'm saying? You making it look good, being fit is cool, but when you're struggling, that's the make or break where you're going to continue to be fit or you're going to fall down the ladder. So I think for me, it's important for me to see the people who are fit, who are at the, you know, closest to the goal than me.
Yeah.
I want to know what your struggle looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So another thing that I struggle with, being that we're on that topic, right?
Yeah.
There's another thing that I struggle with, right? And like, so because me and my girlfriend, we don't live together, right? Now there's times when sometimes we go times without seeing each other, right? And during that time, you know, she's doing what she's supposed to do, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, right? But then when we come together now, it's not like we come together on a vacation time. Let's say that how maybe I haven't seen her in like a month. Like normally, I try to always like, you know, stick to my diet the way I'm supposed to, like straight through, right? So let's say she comes over for like a couple days, right? Now I feel like, you know, let's go get ice cream. So those are struggles for me because I don't want that, you know, she feels like I have to be like you in a sense, in terms of like, I feel more, she might be like, okay, I feel okay eating ice cream once a month, right? I look at it like, I'll do that once a year, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I look at it that way. So because of the fact that I know that, you know, her view on things are a little bit different than mine, right? Then sometimes I'm like, you know what? Since we're going out anyway, yeah, I'll just eat I'll eat the ice cream with her because I don't want that, you know, we're out eating, supposed to be eating ice cream, and she got ice cream, and I'm just sitting there looking at her like, yeah. So those are some struggles for me as well too. But I think that's, to me, I think maybe that's just lack of communication. Maybe that's just lack of communication, or just me being soft in a sense, because I don't want to be that rigid with her, because I know that, you know, for that time, that month that we didn't see each other, I know she was eating how she's supposed to eat, and I know that she's a person where she said, okay, I can, once a month, I can do something like this because I've been doing good the rest of the time, right? But then I always feel like I don't have to do these things until I really go on vacation,
right?
But then yet still, I do want to know that when she's with me, she enjoys herself.
Yeah.
Because her joy is different from mine, and I'm a kind of I can kind of like go with the flow in certain things, right? There's some things that I just look at it like, okay, it is what it is. Like I just find joy in knowing that the people that are around me are happy, right? Yeah. So it's not a situation where, I need to be doing this to be happy. I can be doing this with you that I don't even give a heck about it, but because of the fact that I can see a smile on your face, I'm happy for it. So I think that that's another thing that I really struggle with, like just being okay with kind of, I don't want to say like sitting back on my goals, but sitting back on my goals in a sense.
Okay. So okay. So it sounds like you're saying you struggle with not like you're disciplined, sometimes maybe too disciplined.
Yeah, yes and no.
Okay.
So I'm disciplined, but I'm saying that it's like I'm almost fighting with not pushing it on another person, right? So I don't want to push it on her, but then by me not pushing it on her is also affecting me because we're together, so we're almost one. We're basically one.
Right.
So by me not pushing my discipline on you, now it's affecting me, which is not really affecting me because the rest of the time I'm always eating how I'm supposed to eat.
Right.
But it's just that I feel like I could be, a little bit more strict on that. I feel like I can be a little more strict on that, but I don't feel like it's really necessary. But yet still, it kind of eats at me inside when I do it. So it's like, should I be okay with that, or that's the issue that I'm having? Should I be okay with that? That's what I'm asking myself.
Oh, that's a real question?
Yeah.
Oh. Wait, okay.
No, it's rhetorical, but
yes,
it's like,
okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So like all the answer.
Yeah.
I wonder if can you name a struggle that's totally intrinsic, like it's just between you and you?
Okay. So a struggle that's totally intrinsic between me and me. So something that I think that I struggle with is I feel like validation. I think sometimes I need validation, right?
Okay.
I feel like I'm supposed to be okay with just saying, okay, you know what? Yeah, you did. It's like, let me see. Let me try to give a example, a nice example. So let's say, for instance, right, that I maybe saw you. Is this? Let me see. I'll talk it on and see how it goes. Let's say, for instance, right, I saw you struggling to do something, right?
Struggling to what?
I saw you struggling to do. It's not validation. It's recognition.
Ah, okay.
That's it. Yeah.
That's different.
Let's say I saw you struggling to do something, right?
Yeah.
And I came and I helped you, and I would expect that you say thank you, or thank you for helping me, or whatever, and you don't. That's something that actually gets me upset. Where you don't, helped you to do something, and then you didn't recognize the fact that I helped you do something. So, which I think that might be bad, because I shouldn't be doing something for the fact that I need you to thank me for it. But yet still I don't feel like I'm doing it for the fact that I need you to thank me for it. I feel like I'm doing it because I actually want you to be better, but I think that you should have, the understanding that, somebody helped you and they didn't need to help you, you should say thanks.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something that I do struggle with.
How does that relate to you and fitness?
Very good question. So it relates to me like this, right? Where there's, like, sometimes I might, so this is recognition, I said, right? Yeah, so like, for instance, let's say I trained you, right? If I trained you and then I ask you, I say, yo, can I use, your progress pictures? And you're like, nah, right? And then you go and you're saying that you went and you post, I can't use the progress pictures, but I trained you.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna post and say, yeah, I did this by myself, right? That makes me feel away, right? That makes me feel away because, okay, yes, you did it by yourself, because you're the one that actually had to do the workout, right? So yes, in all actuality, you did do it by yourself. But the fact that how, like, I can't get the recognition for it, that actually makes me feel away. So I think that that's a struggle for me, that's internalized by me and only me. Yeah. Okay. So, which I've been trying to talk to myself about that. Like, sometimes what I do, I just said, some things you just have to chalk up to the game. It is what it is. It's not everybody that's gonna be, like, I guess, stand up guy
Yeah.
to say, yo, you know what, you helped me. I should
Yeah.
be able to at least say, yo, this person helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think everybody's gonna be that way. So sometimes I just say to myself, yo, you just gotta chalk it up to the game and just, that's life. It's not everybody that's gonna be like you or the people that are close to you. Everybody won't operate that way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's something that I struggle on big.
That's a hard lesson we all probably need to work. That's a hard lesson that we all probably struggle with.
Yeah. And I think that that's why a lot of times I try to give people, you know, the credit because of the fact that I know that I struggle with recognition. So if someone helped me with something, I'm always quick to say, yo, this is the person that did this for me, or this is the person that helped with, yeah. And I think that also goes back to everything else in life. If we haven't actually struggled in something, then we don't really realize that we need to do this for somebody else. Like, only when you actually go through it, then you realize how to say, you know what, I'm gonna avoid someone else going through this because I've been through it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that kind of, a lot of people have that disconnect because some people's lives are a lot easier than others.
Yeah.
So because their lives are easier, they tend to look at you and they will judge you because they're like, okay, why would you do some dumb stuff like that? Because they never been in a situation where they had to do some dumb stuff like that. So, yeah, I think all those things interconnect. Yeah.
I was just thinking about our original discussion about mental health, fitness, and then like how that impacts your relationship with food.
Yeah.
And I mentioned like socioeconomic status. Like if you're poor, you know, it's easier to get some chips, whatever, at McDonald's. And then something you said just now, you said if you've never been through it, it's easy to judge. So if you're this comes up a lot. If you've never been fat, and you talk about fat people not being fit and not working hard enough, yes, that is something that happens often in the fitness world. And I follow people who have gone from bigger to fit, and they have a different perspective that I think allows them to speak to the neglected population of people who desire to be fit. That's an example of like, if you've never been through it, it's hard for you to have a perspective that's without judgment. And then relationship with food and like, you know, just being poor. I can't say nothing wrong with that. It's just hard, bro. Especially these days.
Yeah. Because, yes, it is, because it's easier to just go to the corner store and buy a 50-cent chip and whatnot. But this is...
I'm sorry, $1 chip.
Well, yeah.
A $2.29 chip.
Yeah. I haven't gone to the corner store in a while. Yeah, but it's easy to go to the corner store and just, you know, buy those chips, right? And but the thing about it too, I think that's where financial literacy comes into play, right?
Absolutely.
Because when you, and it's more than financial literacy, because sometimes you're looking at it like the money aspect of it, but then also you're looking at it as a logical aspect of it as well, where you look and you're like, yo, if I eat one chip, I'm gonna eat the next chip in 10 minutes. I'm gonna be still hungry. Whereas if I eat something that's more dense, then I won't be as hungry. So I can spend $3 or $5 and buy, let's say, a steak, or steak is like 12, but like, let's say that, you know, I bought something that's more dense instead of eating these empty calories that's in the store. I would have to eat like 6 of those bags of chips just to feel somewhat full, versus just me eating a solid meal and that gonna last me for 5 hours. So I think it is a mixture of, like, you know, just logic, common sense, I guess, and a little bit of financial literacy, because you end up spending a lot more money buying those chips than if you were to actually buy food and cook.
I think we got to give back to the babies. It's a very broad statement.
What?
Sorry.
When you say how? Explain.
Like, because I'm thinking about, you know, when you grow up in whatever household and what you got is what you were given. So now you become an adult, you're like, oh wait, I've been severely overweight and, you know, unhealthy, high blood pressure, stuff like that. But like, we have to work harder on educating youth on various things: financial literacy, mental health, fitness. And it can be so small too. Like, I mean, I don't know. We got to get back to, like, I mean, I feel like once we start saying things like this, it can get very idealistic. But, you know, children used to be outside and playing, as we talked about earlier. And I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling a bit. But
go ahead, sis.
Yeah, we need more. And I'm thinking about our people, Black people specifically. We just need more people that look like us, who care about us, in positions of power, dare I say, with an asterisk. Because I don't want to say power, but, like, you know, I mean, like a doctor, neurosurgeons, people who are in health, who are in media, who are in these positions or these roles that look like us and care about us, can give back to us in a way that's truly sustaining.
So I look at it the opposite way.
Okay?
Yeah, let me tell you why. Not a completely opposite, but I look at it like, instead of us looking for those people to give back to us, right? Give to each other. I think that we just give to each other and we rise together. Instead of depending on them or saying, yo, they should help us, we say, yo, we're gonna help each other. Because I mean, I feel like we do that, like we're doing that now. Yeah, yes, but I said that, okay, so like, so we don't need them.
But we are them.
Like, yes, we are them, but we're looking at them.
No, I'm thinking about the youth.
Oh,
like,
okay.
So we are, like the youth can look up to us.
Yeah.
And how we are, you know, passionate about our people and be like, okay, I'm engaged.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, that's true. So, yes, so the more of us that gets together, so that's what it is. We just really have to find your own people. And I think just having conversations like these is gonna help us find our people. Because, you know, they always say your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yes.
So just putting this out there, it helps you find the people that belong to you.
Yes.
So then they'll listen and they'll be like, yeah, what they're trying to accomplish is the same thing I'm trying to accomplish. Let me go ahead and, you know, help them out.
Yeah.
Which is something that I heard, I don't know if you know who 19 Keys is, you probably do.
Probably.
Okay, so he was saying that a lot of times us as Black people, he said, like, sometimes we look and we say, okay, so like we're here, we're doing this podcast now, right? Like we might be doing the podcast and somebody else might be out there and they're like, oh shoot, they're doing a podcast, I can do one too, right? So he was saying that this is the problem that we normally have in the Black society. He said that instead of us collaborating, we're creating more competition for each other, right? So he was like, somebody's doing a clothing brand and you're like, oh, I can do one. Instead of you trying to find out, like, yo, can we collaborate? If it's different if someone says, no, we can't, right? Versus just, you know?
Yeah.
So he was saying that's really a issue. We always look and we be like, yeah, he's doing that, so I can do that too.
Yeah.
And we just create a competition instead of us trying to come together and just build stronger structures, right? Instead of more structures.
Yeah.
So we're just going and saying, I'm gonna build this, I'm gonna build that, I'm gonna build that. And we have all these different structures spread out and it's not unified, right? And it's strengthening unity.
Yep.
So if we had 5 people here building this one thing, we can grow it a lot faster and grow it a lot stronger. And we have more heads on one thing than one head separated. Yeah, so I think that's a thing that we really have to work on as a community, to really look and see someone doing something. And sometimes I can understand that if you reach out to the person, they're like, nah, F you, I'm doing this by myself, right? Like, then you branch off and do your own thing, right? I understand that. But I think that initially, I think we should always try to say, yo, how can I help you with this, right? Even if it's something that is like, I don't even want to do that much. I don't want to be that involved in it. The fact that I see you doing it, like, if let's say that maybe you're maybe making a garden, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're making a garden. I don't really care about gardening, right?
Right.
But I look and say, oh, Tiana's my people, that's my friend.
Yeah.
How can I help you, right?
Yeah.
Like, what skill do you see that I can contribute to your garden? something, and the fact that I have this skill, more than likely is something that I don't mind doing. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? So you might be like, oh yeah, can you maybe help me source
Yeah.
like seeds?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, no problem. Like this, and then now that's something you don't have to worry about again, right? And then if you want to get capitalistic, right, I can say, okay, I can make sure I can source seeds for you, and you maybe give me 2% equity in whatever your stuff
Or maybe
is.
you fund my groceries for,
Yeah.
for my family.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what we really gotta get to, where we just
Community.
help out each other the ways that we can. We see, okay, yo, my brother or my sister over here doing this. Let me see what they need help with. Let me see how can I help them, and I just contribute. So even though some people might look at it like, oh, yeah, but you're gonna spread yourself thin, right? Are you really? Because you're not doing the bulk of the work. You're doing this thing. It's not like you're doing this thing every day like they are.
Right.
They're the ones that's invested in this thing every day.
Yeah.
This is something that how like you do on a as needed basis.
Yeah.
So it's a lot less stress for you. And then by you doing that, then there's gonna be people that are doing the same thing for you in your business or your endeavor, that they're just plugging in when you need it, and then now you don't have to be the only one struggling to do this thing all the time. So now you have a lot of hands in the basket. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
This is a large idea. I don't know if this maybe
talk louder just in case. Yeah.
Oh, this is like a large idea. Do you believe people are on this earth to be of service to others?
Yeah, I think we have to.
Yes.
I think we have to be of service to others.
Yes.
I think that so there was this thing where they said that they took babies, right? They had babies, and all they did was feed a group of them, and then they socialized with the other group, and the ones that they just fed died, and the ones that they socialized with lived, right? And that goes to show you that we actually, as something as simple, you're getting what you need, right? Which is food, water, right?
Yep.
And with you lacking human interaction, that caused you to die. Like when you really think about things like that, it's crazy, and that kind of shows you that we're all interconnected in some way. And that's why I kind of like that blue movie Avatar. You ever watched it?
The blue one, yes.
Yeah.
Let's specify.
Yeah. So where
Yeah.
they plug into like the trees and the animals and all that stuff.
Yep.
I think that we're connected that way, but by energy, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you ever realize that even sometimes you meet someone for the first time and automatically you don't like them, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, after a while they start to grow on you, right? And the reason why they start to grow on you is because of the fact that their energy is in your space over and over. How humans are, we try to adapt to any situation, even though it's uncomfortable or unhealthy for us.
Yeah.
Right? Your body tries to adapt to it.
Yeah.
Your energy does the same thing. It tries to adapt to it. So if someone with a bad energy is around you all the time, over time, it's gonna grow on you, and then your body's gonna be like, okay, let's just give in to it. And I don't know if you ever paid enough attention to it, but most times when someone that off rip that you didn't like them, they end up hurting you in some way, because your energy already sensed that they have bad intentions for you, right? So it was trying to protect you and tell you, stay away. But you stayed in this space until it was like, okay, I'll just accept it as it is, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they might not do nothing that hurts you to the point where you're like, yo, I hate you so much.
Right.
It might not be that way, but it might be like they come into your life and they're like, yo, Tiana, yo, you think you can go this place for me? You could think you can? So now they're having you run all kind of errands like a little errand boy, right? And now you're looking at it like, damn, this girl is annoying, son. Like, but then they come sometimes and they're like, hey, I got juice, give me some juice, whatever, just to kind of cushion what they were doing to you all this time. So I think a lot of times it's situations like that where your energy already sense that there's something off about this person. I don't know exactly what it is, but stay away. But
Yeah.
then we still don't go with our sixth sense per se.
Yeah.
And then we end up not really suffering the consequences, but things do happen,
Yeah.
which make us realize like maybe this is why I never liked this person in the first place.
Yeah. I agree.
So I think we're all interconnected and we have the energy that's there to protect us.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we just ignore it. We don't listen to our own our own self. Yeah.
I think we're distracted by a lot of things.
Yeah.
That brings me to like think about a lot of like in therapy, like we talk about your connection to your mind and your body,
Yeah.
which there's no question there's a connection, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't know, maybe some people question it. But when we are more in tune with our body, we can pick up on energies like that more, you know, readily and without ignoring them, without bypassing them. And that also brings me to like, you know, back to what we're talking about, the connection between mental health and your fitness, things like that. There's always a connection between your mind and your body. Mm-hmm. And when they're not in alignment with each other, it's information.
Yeah. Yeah, everything is interconnected, outside and inside.
Yeah. It's all connected. You watch Manifest?
Nah, I never did.
It's a terrible show, don't watch it.
I watched Inside Out for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, 1 and 2 or just one?
Just one.
Okay, did you watch you don't watch part 2 yet?
No, I didn't watch part 2.
That's exactly what you just said. Oh my God. Okay, so what are your thoughts?
I really found it to be interesting, and what I found to be most interesting is how easily kids are affected by their parents splitting, right? And I sat down and I thought, I was like, why would a child be that depressed by their parents splitting, right? And I thought about it on a little bit deeper, and I was like, yo, how can I, and it goes back to when I'm saying that if you haven't been there, you don't understand it, right?
Right.
Because then I just thought about it, I was like, yo, me as a freaking adult, I would feel away if my parents split. So how the hell am I thinking like, well, why would a child actually get to a state of depression by their parents splitting? And I realized that a lot of times these families, they ruin the kids because of simple things like this, their own selfish reasons, where either the guy don't have self-control and gotta go out there and cheat on his wife, and then she leave him, and then, or even sometimes she don't even leave him, and they stay together. In a situation that I think they should leave, because I think that does more harm to the kid than good.
Yeah.
But they stay together, fighting in front of the kids, creating a toxic environment for them, and even when they do leave as well too, it does harm the kids in it, because sometimes they look at it like, yo, I just literally lost a piece of me. That's how they almost feel like mommy's gone or daddy's gone, like I lost a piece of me. And then sometimes it's a situation where the parents don't even look at the kids and say, you know what, they're growing, they're learning, they're gonna see certain things, let me not do certain things in front of them, and they're bringing different guys around the kids. All these things warp these kids' minds, and then now they start to look at it like, okay, mommy's doing this, and as they start to get older too, they start to say, hey, wait, my mom had 3-4 guys, right? That's normal. It starts to seem normal to them,
right? Because
they grew up seeing it,
right?
Like, and then when they start to actually go out there and do that in society, then, you know, they judge, but it's because of the fact that they see things like that at home. And I think that us as, you know, especially black people, we have to be very careful in terms of especially dating, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't go into it just off of lust to say, yo, this person looks good, and then you go sleep with them, they get pregnant, and then now you have a child, and your morals are completely different, right? They have people that end up and get married, and the guy thinks that you should have multiple women. If she thinks opposite, then he out there doing, you know, this, that, and the third, and then, you know, is a conflict. But y'all are supposed to go ahead.
To go back to what you're saying, I seen a post recently where somebody was saying being in like with people got us fucked up more times than not. Because sometimes we like someone and like that's so basic.
Yeah.
Like the way they were explaining it, which is very valid. Like, you know, you get the do you like me? Do you like me in like middle school, elementary school, and you pass the note back and forth. Yes, I like you. Would you marry that person you liked in middle school? So when we're adults and we're like, yo, I like this person. Okay, and keep knowing them because you may not like them later.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you may like them, but only to a certain extent. And now you don't like them enough to be in a relationship with them, but you like them to be in your space sometimes.
Yeah.
But you probably don't like them enough to have a child with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like be having us
Messed up.
Yeah.
And I think that to figure out a lot of we got to figure out like, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we like someone, but then we haven't got to experience different situations with them to see if we like them in this situation. So I think that, and what time is it, by the way? So because we're gonna have to
Where's I was walking?
kind of
It's
wrap up soon.
9:15.
Oh yeah, we gotta wrap it soon.
Yeah.
So so I think that to figure out like a key element of it is, for one, each of you have to figure out the things that are important to y'all. So like in relationships, what are your absolute no-nos, right? Where with children are concerned, like how do you expect to raise your kids? And something as simple as, yo, are we giving our kids vaccines or not? Like even things like that. Those are things that you all have to get down to the nitty-gritty.
Yep.
You have to have those tough conversations early because you don't want to wait until you guys get there and then it's a whole argument and which is irrelevant. So another thing that I think that people should do in relationships, you see, like a lot of times you go on all these little dates, right?
Yeah.
I think you sit down like this, you sit down in the park, talk to somebody most of the time. Y'all, instead of going on all those little dates, y'all save up a little bit of money and y'all go on a trip together for a week.
That's very telling.
Yeah, you go for a week and you go see the bad habits that these people have, and you're gonna be like, yeah, this freaking bastard don't make up the bed. And those are kind of things that you can look at and you'll be like, yo, can I live with that? And if you know that, yo, that's not a big deal for me, right? That's not a deal breaker for me, then you know you can kind of tolerate that. But there's certain things that you might start to realize that, yo, maybe they can't tolerate you being in this space for that long. They start to get agitated and you're like, can I live with that?
Right.
So I think those are things that we really have to do. Like all these little extra going these little fancy restaurants. That's
these
nothing.
basic food menus.
Go out of state. Go somewhere.
Yes. Within reason and, you know, safety allowed, all that. Yeah, hell yeah.
I think that's what they gotta do. They gotta start to do a lot more of those things.
Yeah.
So, but you have any final thoughts?
Love yourselves, love those that love you, and take care of yourself always.
Yep. And as
go to therapy. Sorry. Go ahead.
And as I always say, it's only one way up. Any other way is the wrong way. So do all that YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, comment, and as they say, your vibe attracts your tribe. If this seems like a tribe, we welcome you.
Pull up.
That's it.